Welcome in to the Rock Talk Studio, where I find you that next great rock and roll book or documentary to check out. This is the podcast that reviews, previews, and most importantly, recommends to you the good stuff. I'm your host, Big Rick. Let's plug in. And today, the spotlight falls on the new book, Iron Maiden, Infinite Dreams. And there are certain things that instantly grab my attention when I'm thinking of reviewing a book. One of those is when a book has contributions from band members. That always draws me in. And with this one, you get founding bassist Steve Harris and iconic vocalist Bruce Dickinson both lend their voices to this book. In the foreword, Harris reflects that this is not just albums and tours, but pivotal decisions that shape Maiden's 50-year journey. And this book traces it all from the band's early days right up to this year's Run for Your Lives tour. It's 50 years of Iron Maiden. And the first thing that hit me, though, when I got this book out of this box is its size. I was just blown away to open up a box and pull out a hardcover book that is this large. It is 13 by 10 wide, and the thing is super heavy. I had to go and weigh it. And the book clocks in at nearly 6 pounds, so this is a huge undertaking. What really grabbed me inside was Harris's early musical influences in the beginning of this book. Steve Harris talks about how he grew up with bands like Genesis and Yes and The Who, Wishbone Ash. I would never really have thought that was the inspiration for that Iron Maiden sound. I mean, Wishbone Ash, maybe early prog, Genesis, Yes, maybe. That Iron Maiden came out of all those different types of music. I've found that pretty interesting, especially since Maiden's pretty much spawned a genre of heavy metal music itself. This book includes a ton of memorabilia. Harris claims it was a daunting task to put all this together. He also mentions, I've been pleasantly surprised at some of the stuff I've managed to unearth for this book. I knew I had kept a lot of things from the early days, and the photography has really brought them to life. And I would totally agree here. I love the inclusion of old concert photos in this book, especially because you get to see where bands were ranking when they were playing, when they were coming up, and who was ranked higher on the bill at the time. There was a couple of full-page spreads on the t-shirt lines that they used throughout the years on tour. Intricate, detailed stuff in this book. There even went as far as breaking down album covers. There's a breakdown of the Somewhere in Time album. It's a double layout of the book, along with a list of every Easter egg contained in it. There's also a pretty thorough breakdown of the instruments band members use, so you get into the gear side of things. You also have that. Iron Maiden is one of those bands that has a large visual component to them, and the visuals throughout this book are outstanding. When you're putting together an oversized, picture-heavy book, you really need to deliver to set yourself apart, and this book definitely does. The photos are amazing. And I really think the size of the photos in this book, because it is such a larger size coffee table style book, really works to their advantage here. There's even a bunch of photos from Harris's personal archives. They have pages of his diary from 1976. And I thought that was a really cool addition because it kind of lays out and it'll show you how detailed he was early on, and especially how that carried over to the Maiden years once Maiden started going. Anytime you get to see a diary in a day-to-day progression of what was going on in the band is just really tremendous insight. So Maiden fans, there's a lot here. And even if you're not a Maiden fan, it's really cool to see how this band came together and just the progression over the years. Especially with this book, it's 50 years of retrospective. The extent of what is included and the details on some of this stuff is pretty crazy. Another example I wanted to mention was there's a picture included of the first demo that Steve Harris made. And on the business card for Steve Harris is his phone number to his job as a draftsman. And that's how you had to contact him at that time. You had to call his job. I thought that was pretty classic. You know, you can't talk about Iron Maiden without talking about the iconic Eddie. And I was surprised to learn how early the Eddie persona came about in the band. That part in the book about its creator, David Riggs, and about the origin of him drawing and coming up with a look was really fascinating. There's even a picture of Eddie's first time on stage, which was basically a band member donning an Eddie mask. It's just really amazing how much time they spent on the Eddie persona and their stage presence. Like I mentioned before, the visual component of this band is strong. Their World Slavery Tour alone in '84 took 2 months to build the stage. Reading their story and taking it all in, all this visual, you get a really deep understanding how there really is no other band like Iron Maiden. From the beginning, they came out with Eddie and used it throughout their whole career. They talk about how they admired the artwork of Roger Dean of Yes. Remember all those great Yes covers, those paintings? I love that stuff. And I could see how David Riggs, who created the Eddie persona, kind of used that to create these just iconic covers that Maiden had. Infinite Dreams is bookended by a foreword from band member Steve Harris and then an afterword by vocalist Bruce Dickinson. And then the book closes with 2 pages of timeline of touring milestones. This book stands as the official chronicle of the band's story and triumphs. It's a comprehensive account of the band's 50-year legacy, and it's done by bringing their stories to life through a visual narrative of photographs and memorabilia. And the presentation is just top-notch and goes without saying, Iron Maiden fans, you are definitely in for a treat with this one. 350 pages, Iron Maiden, Infinite Dreams. Okay, I need to tell you one more really cool thing about this Maiden book, and that's coming up after the break. Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by the publishing company Thames and Hudson, who were kind enough to send me over a copy of the Iron Maiden book, but they've also said that they will agree to send one of my listeners a free copy of this book, and I cannot tell you how amazing that is, because this is, as I mentioned in the review, it's just not a normal book. It's a very large, very heavy, very detailed book of 50 years of Iron Maiden's career. So if you're an Iron Maiden fan, and if you get a chance to get your hands on this book, especially a free copy that I might be able to send you, you are going to love it. I would really love to see the face of the person who wins this when they get this box sent to them, and then they open it up and see how big this thing is. Like, that reaction that I had when I saw this was, I just couldn't believe the weight and the enormous presentation here. So I guarantee you, you're really, really going to like this. I can't wait to talk to the person who wins this book. So let's talk a little bit about that. How do you get a chance to win a free Iron Maiden Infinite Dreams book? Well, it's easy and it's free. All you have to do is send me an email at info@rocktalkstudio.com, or you can sign up for my newsletter, and I'm going to throw in a couple of free things with that newsletter. Number one, I'm going to throw in a free subscription. So right now, subscriptions are free. I call it the Rock Talk Studio Blast. It only comes out one time a month. It's the last Friday of the month, so you're not going to get a bunch of spam with it. I'm also going to give you the top 5 books and documentaries of the year in 2025 so far. So there's a listing there of the top 5. You've got all the new releases that are coming up and the release dates. So everything you're looking for in regards to the world of rock and roll books and documentaries in there. It's a resource that I like to put together, kind of an extension of what I do here at the Rock Talk Studio podcast. So subscribe to the Blast newsletter and you get free entry into the Iron Maiden Infinite Dreams sweepstakes. I can't thank Thames and Hudson, the publishing company, enough for their support and for sending somebody this book. You're going to love it. All right, before I wrap up today's show, I do want to tell you about next week's episode, because this is an episode that I've never done before. And this episode came to me from a suggestion of a reader of the Rock Talk Studio Blast, the newsletter. They wrote to me and said, do you have some suggestions for, and they listed a couple of bands. And it made me think, okay, how about a greatest hits show? How about Tom Petty, Grateful Dead, Allman Brothers, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, Paul McCartney? How about recommendations in one show about all those artists? Thanks to Jarrett O, who mentioned this to me. You're going to get your greatest hits show. Everybody's going to get the greatest hits show, and that's going to be coming up next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Love talking rock and roll with you, especially when I get to talk about a cool book. This new book, Iron Maiden Infinite Dreams, is a monster of a recollection of this amazing band, and one of you is going to get a chance to win it. I'm pumped up about that. So go ahead and enter into the contest to win this great book. All right, let's tear it down, pack it up, and head on down the road. I'll see you next time in the Rock Talk Studio.